Vince Russo was just another idiot.
He's a shit stain.
Welcome, everybody. It's another exciting edition of the Sports Hole. I'm your host, Luke. With me, as always, XFL Jim, rock and roll Matty Goldberg. What's up, boys?
What's up?
Sup?
Living large.
Sad day, I was gonna say, in music today.
What happened, Matty?
We had a very sad death. Let me get his name correct. Hold on.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. His name
important.
is what's his name? His name goes by what the fuck? Why do I keep messing up? Sorry guys, 1 second. He goes by what does he go by? Shifty Shelly Shock.
No, not Shifty Shell Shock.
No.
50 died today.
Crazy Town singer.
49.
Oh,
I told you.
that is sad. Come, my lady. Come, my lady. You're my butterfly.
Sugar, baby.
Dude, in my opinion, that is the #1 guilty pleasure song of all time.
Man, there's nothing guilty about loving that song.
No, it is a guilty pleasure.
There's nothing guilty about loving
Do you
that
know?
song.
I like
do you know,
because you-
Okay, you're rock and roll Matty Goldberg, so I know you know this. You know where the
Yeah.
backing track comes from?
Yeah, it's Red Hot Chili Peppers' little guitar ditty on
Pretty
Mother's
Little
Milk.
Ditty. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Can't get me there.
I didn't. I know. I thought it was kind of a layup for you. I thought
You
get
can't
that one.
beat this. You can't beat this.
That's
Better
sad.
check.
The
but
Matty
true.
G supercomputer is
Right.
undefeated.
But it's a great guitar riff, John Frusciante. I was like, what a cool riff.
Yeah.
What a horrible looking bunch of guys. But
Oh, they were like
it's a
the
catchy
fucking
song.
late '90s wrapped in a ball. You know.
you know what's funny?
Oh
is
yeah.
I revisited that song today, and it's a catchy song. What can you say? But it reminds me of college. It puts me back in college, and I had to play another song. Like, what's another song that put me back in college? Nelly Furtado, "I'm Like a Bird" is my
Oh
other.
wow.
Oh.
That puts me back. But that,
That was like the
'cause,
metal version
yeah.
of "I'm Like a Bird," though.
yeah. So Crazy Town, Shelly Shifty,
Shifty
49, rest
Shell
in peace.
Shock.
Very, very troubled guy.
Yeah,
Seems like he was in and out of rehabs his whole life.
he was in
had
shape.
the
He was in great
cheesy,
shape.
like-
though.
Oh, great shape, great body. But the lame star tattoos, I never.
Well, they looked like
like-
when that video would come on, I'm like, did I just enter their turf? Like they look like
Yeah.
they're ready to beat me up, and I don't know
Well,
what.
the
I
other
did.
thing was, I'm gonna be honest. The girls in the video, for a big time video like
Yeah.
an MTV, the girls aren't very attractive.
Oh, really? I got to rewatch that.
They're like
because-
these. This is during the raver time, and they're like
Oh,
these weird
yeah.
raver girls. And I'm like, these are your butterflies. These are hoes.
Are you
dude.
just not
These
into
are-
ravers, Matty? You don't like ravers?
They're kind of like. I know it sounds like an asshole, but they look like $20 hoes. They don't look like your butterfly. Like your butterfly is supposed to be this like your queen in a sundress that's innocent that goes to grandma's house, not these like hoes licking on lollipops and wearing like weird bell bottoms, you know? Like
But
these
that's-
aren't butterflies. These are stank hoes.
you know,
Bad
there's,
casting in the video.
Stank hose.
there's video of him like fighting Scott Kahn, like in some
For
street
real?
fight. Yeah, look it up, TMZ. And Scott Kahn's like, you know, he's like all into boxing and stuff, so I'm sure he's a pretty tough guy for, you know, like
But he's
two like
short. He's
ripped
tiny.
guys that are probably like 5'4" each. You know, like
Yeah.
I feel like
That's
if
awesome.
Matty was like ripped, like fighting a dude.
But it's also like Scott Conn is one of those guys that like is overcompensating because he is short. So
Right,
he's
and
like,
he's
"I'm into,
not his
like,
dad, too.
MMA."
Yeah,
You know, I know all the technical jargons, but I really can't fight.
sure.
But one hit, I mean, I don't know one other Crazy Town song. I don't know if anybody knows. but for one moment in this America, this
Yeah.
world, they were like this was a massive the song of the summer of probably 99, 2000, 98.
Yeah.
I don't know about either of you two, but I'd be totally fine being a one-hit wonder.
Oh man, it'd be amazing.
I have a. This was like. Do you remember like "Don't Steal My Sunshine"?
Yeah, another one, Len.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like I bought that whole album too. Like I'm like, oh, this is
were
really
any of the
interesting.
songs listenable?
No, they were all fucking terrible. Except
And that's
for that
another
one song.
great video that goes back to my college.
But it was like
too.
another like great
Yeah.
summer song, you know, like
Oh, yeah.
it's a cool summer song, just hanging out, discovering
The
life.
concept of that video is great because like it's a brother and sister, and everybody had a
Right.
crush on the sister.
Right.
But the brother and sister are very
They're
handsy in the
very
video.
close, very tight
Very
family
handsy.
there.
Like they're on a like a little moped together, and I'm like, I would never ride with my sister on a fucking moped. That's
I'm trying to
Never,
picture
Maddie.
which sister you'd be with. Like Kate would probably elbow you in the face. Jessica would probably let you ride with her just to be like nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool video because they're from Canada, and it's like they flew to Miami to shoot it. So it's like they're coming out of the cold
Yeah.
to the like fun of Miami, and we're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Everything is so depressing.
I
Fucking
know.
Jim's generation of sadness.
Dude, Maddie, I don't know about you. I'm pretty fucking happy.
Jim, are you a big Crazy Town fan? Does this hurt you?
This was devastating.
He said it's not a guilty pleasure.
It's not a guilty pleasure.
You got to tell your girl
love the
tonight what
song.
happened, and you go, I need a sympathy hand job, honey.
But I love the song, but I'm embarrassed to tell you I love the song. I mean,
That's
there's a
okay.
couple.
Yeah.
There's that. Len Steal My Sunshine is another one. And another one, guilty pleasure I have, a little newer, is Jim's generation, LMFAO. Some of their songs are pretty good, I must say.
Yeah. No, I
Yep.
used to get down that Party
embarrassed to
Rocker
say that.
song. I really had a good time with that summer. That was a great summer. Might have
Yeah.
been my last great summer before I got old.
Those guys will be dead very soon, but rest in
Yeah.
peace.
Well, those guys don't.
Shifty.
I mean, LMFAO doesn't do stuff anymore because
Barry Gordy's other kid
yeah.
died. Rockwell, I think, is dead.
Was he in LMFAO?
No, but they're like, it's like a separate, like, you know, Barry Gordy nailed a bunch of women and had like 25 kids.
Now,
So
LMFAO was just the two guys. It was just the dude and
Yeah.
his. I think it was a dude and his nephew.
It was like Barry Gordy's son and then his nephew or something.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, Barry Gordy's one of his other kids is Tracy Ellis Ross, who's on Blackish, the wife on Blackish. So like a completely
Ooh.
opposite kind of person, you know.
Are you sad, Luke?
About Shifty? Kinda. He seemed like one of those dudes that would like. He seemed like the tough guy you went to school with, but then when he's going to be posting a bunch of stuff about Trump, you know, like later, like he's like the media isn't even real media, you know, like they're locking up January Sixers, but not, you know, protesters in the summer, you know, like
He just seemed like a guy that like I wouldn't get along with. I always like.
Yeah, probably.
But you never know. He might have a soft spot for dorks.
he'd probably like you. Maybe he's just a decent dude, you know, apart from his whatever drug
He had
addiction.
bad tattoos. His tattoos were horrible.
Well, that was cool shit though back in the day, you know.
The stars were really geeky. And then remember that like clothing brand with like the two girls that were like back to back that there was like kind of a weird Adidas kind of like jumpsuits. I don't know what the brand is, but they always used to wear those. And I don't know. There was like, I never cared for Linkin Park. But Crazy Town was like a poor man's Linkin Park.
Do you remember a band called Cottonmouth Kings?
Of course, from the OC.
Yeah,
Suburban
that's kind of.
Life,
I feel like they could have toured with Crazy Town very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cottonmouth Kings actually, why I know them is their members are a famous punk band in the OC called Doggy Style
Oh,
from
wow.
the 80s. So then they went into rap. And then they had that one song in Scream 2, I think.
Yeah.
Suburban Life or something.
Yeah, it's like another one of those bands where it just looks like they're gonna jump out of the screen and threaten you.
Yeah.
You know, like what did I do, Cottonmouth Kings?
Well, may Shifty rest in peace.
Yes.
And forever, Sugar Butterfly.
Sugar
Come,
butterfly
my lady.
forever.
Come, my lady.
That's it. You know it.
That's somebody's wedding song, by the way.
It'll be my wedding song, Maddie. No.
I hope so, Jimbo.
Oh, a big hockey game last night, Maddie. What happened?
Kind of big.
The Canadian streak of not winning the Stanley Cup runs another year.
USA.
My favorite
USA.
stat remains alive.
Yeah.
My favorite stat.
You know, give Edmonton credit for coming back 3-0. That was pretty exciting. It was pretty amazing. So hard to win 4 in a row. They just, Bob Roski lost it for a few games, but he got it back last night. And the Panthers just kind of like, I feel like when they were up 3-0, they kind of took the foot off the gas for a game. And then they kind of got shell-shocked in game 5. And then game 6, like the momentum was with Edmonton, and then they kind of got it back last night. It wasn't a great game. Edmonton had some chances, but for game 7, it's always thrilling,
Yeah.
So once again,
were you happy as a fan? I mean, I'm sure you want to see that big comeback.
But neither teams. Yeah. I felt more bad that one team is going to lose because they're both very deserving.
Mm-hmm.
And I go all the way back with the coach of the Panthers, Paul Maurice, because I remember growing up on the East Coast, he was the Whalers coach in the 90s. And at the time, he was this whiz kid. He got hired really young. Like he was like 33. They hired him as a head coach. And he did shitty. And he was overmatched. And everybody was saying what a joke it was. But they were like, we have to hire this guy. He's like a genius. And 30 years later, it paid off. So he's been a journeyman and a coach forever. And it's good to see him finally host up a cup. It's just like, it's hard sometimes with Florida because it just seems like the only fans there are like that the Panthers' only fans they have are the people at the game,
Right.
I felt that when the Kings won. Like they have a loyal fan base, but it's a very small fan base.
It just feels weird to me that like the hockey teams in Florida are good.
It's incredible. The last 5 years they've been in the Stanley Cup. A Florida team has been in the Stanley Cup for the last 5 seasons. Edmonton is really building something special. I mean, it's so devastating to play that many games and finish one goal short is heartbreaking, but they have so much talent. They'll be back. They got a good coach. They finally got a good goalie. I like their goalie Skinner. So we'll see next year.
All right.
My favorite stat in hockey, just in general, survives that America has won a Grey Cup more recently than Canada has won a Stanley Cup.
It is wild.
Keep it going.
I mean,
who won
the Baltimore Colts, baby?
Yeah, the Baltimore Stampede.
It was the Stallions, I think, actually.
Yeah,
the Baltimore Stallions.
And like the early 90s when
like the mid 90s
when they lost before they had the Ravens.
Are they still a team?
No. That was like back in the 90s when the CFL tried to like go into America.
Oh,
they got a couple teams.
They had teams in like Baltimore, Vegas, a couple other cities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now we don't have any teams in Canada.
No, didn't work out very well. Not a lot.
It did well, Baltimore before they got the Ravens, but once they got the Ravens, it was over.
Yeah, it was done.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Basketball, JJ Redick, now the Lakers coach.
I was streaming through articles because for one of the shows I do, we just look at the headlines for articles. And we look at a bunch of different websites. One of the outsites I looked at was our friends over at Outkick. And their top article was like, women says that JJ Redick called her the N-word.
Oh, that was a big tweet. Yeah, I saw that. That was the first thing when I logged onto Twitter today. It was like 25 years ago, this white man said the N-word to my face.
He's the only one that's ever done it.
Right. And now today he was named the Lakers head coach. I'm like, wow, that is.
Why did they come out with that news right then?
Probably because it's not true. But also, it is hilarious to me that Outkick like devoted a whole article to it.
It's also like you could probably see JJ Redick doing that. He was kind of a
I mean, he went to Duke.
Yeah,
he went
right?
to Duke.
I
I feel like
mean,
that's a prerequisite to go to Duke,
I don't
right?
know. I mean, you got to feel people could change though too in 25 years and not say the N-word anymore. I don't know.
It would be funny if he was just saying it like behind the scenes on the podcast with him and LeBron. Like
Yeah.
LeBron gives him the pass.
Right. So just
According to the Lakers, Reeves has the pass, but he never uses it.
no, that's a trap. You could not use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't trust.
No, you get Morgan Wayland, all of a sudden, next thing you know, your
Yeah.
buddy's recording you. Nah,
Yeah,
white people would be
I don't
hard
know.
on you.
I didn't see that story. I mean, I don't know how we'll do. I thought he was a terrible broadcaster. I thought he was boring. I don't know anything about the N-word, but I thought he was horrific on ABC. I thought he was so boring. I thought Mike Bream had to carry the whole broadcast. Doris Burke is okay, but I think, to get rid of Van Gundy was so dumb, and even Mark Jackson's not bad. Just that's all I can go by. So hopefully he'll be a better coach than he is a broadcaster.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody, like, if he was very serious, like, about being a head coach, this would
Yeah.
be the worst possible way to start. I
That's
don't know.
Steve Nash.
Yeah, that's Steve.
Yeah.
You got, I mean, I know LeBron's been your buddy lately and you guys have a podcast together, but that's LeBron's show. And this is the only thing that sucks about LeBron being the GM is he's probably fucked himself over more than he's helped himself in that role.
Do you
That's
think
the
they
one
keep the
thing-
podcast going?
Um,
And that conflict
maybe
of
if they're
interest.
doing okay, on the court, but there's definitely a weird.
But the one thing he'll have going for him is that when David Blatt was the coach of the Cavaliers, it didn't work out. And when Steve Nash never had the support of his players. They hated him.
Yeah.
So LeBron's handpicked JJ Redick. So if you have LeBron in your thing, obviously you're going to run what LeBron runs. So at least like the players have to respect you. I felt like with Steve Nash, I don't think the players ever respected him as a coach, which is a shame because he had a great career and his career gives him enough validation that like he might know what he's doing. It just didn't work out. But at least Redick will have the support of LeBron. But like, I don't know what makes a good basketball coach, to be honest.
Well, I think you look at like Boston this year,
Yeah.
and you have, they have two superstars, borderline three with Porzingis, and they play just team ball, and that's it.
Yeah.
Can you get them to play team ball in your vision
That's what
of
Phil
it?
Jackson always could do.
Yeah, but this is also why, like, you can't win. It's very much harder to win with a big three these days because the egos are got to be even worse than they were back in the day. Because the money is insane now.
And that's why Phil Jackson is one of the greatest coaches because the Lakers did have Kobe and Shaq before Phil Jackson came in, and they were underachievers.
Mhm.
The Bulls had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, they underachieved. He was able to get those guys to, maximize the team game as much as possible. And that will be the tough part of Redick. I just don't know if they have enough talent. And besides LeBron and Anthony Davis, who else is gonna like put up some big, who else?
Now that roster's kind of not very good past those guys. I mean, they have a couple like Austin Reeves is okay, but like you saw exactly with Boston and teams like Denver and stuff like that. You need several deep role players that like can and
so
they
I
don't
can't
have that.
tell you how he's gonna do. I really
But it's
can't.
just like it's an impossible situation. Like you haven't. The only time we talk about David Blatt is getting thrown under the bus by LeBron. That's it.
Well, the other thing about it too is like I would want to start with a smaller team to get my feet wet. Like you coach the Hornets or somebody that's not gonna win, just to learn how to coach for like a year or so, and then you move to the Lakers. Because there's places you just can't win, but you can cut your teeth.
But if this turns into a shit show, then you're done. Like you're just totally fucking done unless you want to go back to college or something and be a college.
Well, then I'll
coach
go
there for a
back to
while.
the podcast broadcast.
Well, it's stupid though, because it's like, do you really want to be a coach? Or are you just trying to pick up and maybe if a few pieces fall your way, you could get a championship? Like, or
Well,
do
who
you
doesn't
really want
want
to
to
be
be
a coach?
the coach of the Lakers? I mean, that
I
sounds
don't
exciting.
Dan Hurley didn't want to,
Yeah, but
like
he's got a good situation.
he's got a great situation, but it's also coaching UConn to a championship is not the same as coaching the Lakers to a championship. Sorry.
No, but you got to know like what you're capable of in
Right.
this role,
No.
and what's best for your family, what's best for your lifestyle. And Dan Hurley is like, look, it sounds exciting, it sounds enticing, but I have a really good thing going, and why mess it up? It's like if you have a nice wife and then some supermodel comes and hits on you, and you're like, wow, this is amazing and tempting, but she brings like drama and headaches and danger and all this stuff and out of my comfort zone. You might stick with the nice, lovely wife. Maybe Jim wouldn't, but
I think being
Jim
a
would
coach
take it for a
is,
test drive,
yeah.
I personally think being a coach is the best job on the world because you can get fired and get shitloads of money.
Yeah, look at Monty Williams from the Pistons. He's between being fired from the Phoenix Suns and the Pistons. He's owed like $100 million.
It's great.
And he'll probably get another coaching job in like 3 years when they recycle these guys.
Oh, possibly. He's getting older now. But other NBA news, we had the Thunder traded Josh Giddey to the Bulls for Alex Caruso. If I'm in the West, I'm getting a little scared here because Oklahoma City, this is perfect for them. They need more depth, they need more experience, and this is just the perfect guy to do that.
Yeah, the West is strong because
And-
Denver's going to be back, Minnesota,
Yeah.
Oklahoma City, Dallas will be back. A lot of good, maybe the Lakers might, and the Clippers. But the Clippers seem like they're on this forever.
Almost. They're forever almost there.
They're just in
Well,
love
also
with name.
seems
Like you were talking about playing team ball, having a coach. They don't play team ball. They don't
their best players seem to get hurt right in time for the playoffs.
Well, they're addicted to names. I just hate that. Like, let's just Harden, yeah. Westbrook, yeah. Let's get him. Who else has a name or was a name or something? It's like fuck that. Build a proper team.
I think we can realize that James Harden's never going to win a championship. Like, can we give that up?
Not unless he agrees to like just come play, 10, 15 minutes a game and just come in and shoot and score.
Well, every time he goes to a team, they're like, "That's it. Just give him the trophy."
That's the last piece we needed, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except no, that's the worst piece. Maddie, we got our girl back in the news, Kelly Stafford.
Caitlin? Oh, I heard about this.
I did not hear about this. What happened?
So apparently, because she has a podcast, because if your husband is rich and famous, you need to be blabbing about it nonstop. So she has a podcast. And apparently she told a story about dating the backup quarterback at Georgia to make Matt Stafford
jealous.
And
Yep.
then Stephen A. Smith got involved, and he didn't like it. He thought that was a really bad thing to do and kind of dumb, and it's just funny though, because she's beefed with Petros before. Now she's beefed.
She also took a shot at Taylor Swift.
Yeah. She
She's
did?
out of her
What did she
mind.
say?
She said she was tired of seeing her at football games, or like what I've been saying. So I'm on her with
She
that.
should like it because then people aren't tired of seeing her at football games.
Exactly. But
takes the heat off.
It's just odd because Matt Stafford is like the quietest. There's not a bad word that's ever been said about him. He seems the most classiest guy. He's always been kind, classy with everything he does. He doesn't show anybody up. He's a gamer. He's taken a beating for like 13 years in the NFL. Never complained on Detroit. and he's got to deal with this wife that just like loves to talk.
Oh, like he's like a beaten dog, when he goes home. He probably just hangs out at the stadium as long as he possibly can.
Maybe he's into it though.
You think so?
Maybe that's how he gets off.
Like a masochist.
I don't know.
Maybe
man.
he's into it. Maybe he's like, oh, I get home and it's
Because
like, oh,
if he
now
was
I don't have to
into
be like, because he's in charge of the team basically as the
Right.
quarterback. So he's
But
like,
if he
I go
was
home,
into it-
the wife is in charge of everything.
Yeah. But if he was into it, wouldn't he like talk too? Like he never talks.
No, like he
Wouldn't-
keep what you're into behind closed doors, Matty. He's not a kiss and tell kind of guy.
So he lets his wife do all the talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's smart.
It turns out when it apparently after she dated the backup QB, it didn't work. So then she decided to date Alex Stein to
Yeah.
make him jealous.
That is a weird move, and like I read about that she did like what a weird person she is that she did that only to make him jealous, and it's when you're in college, like how serious can you be, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like she's just so addicted to this life and also the little attention she gets when she says something. It's like Kelly Stafford. It's like, I don't know. It's a hard one because you seem like a sexist when you're like, shut the fuck up. But like, really, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not in the league.
Do we know which backup quarterback it was?
It was, what's his face? The guy got drafted by the Rams this year or last year.
Stetson
The walk,
I
Stetson
think they're,
Bennett.
they're separated by a few years.
Recent backup.
It was Eric Zier.
Oh,
I have no idea who it was.
I'm
Oh,
looking
okay.
up the rosters.
Yeah.
So if it was the guy who's the same age as Matthew Stafford, it would be Joe Cox.
Oh yeah, Mr. Cox. No pun intended.
But
It's gotta be weird to be Eskimo brothers with a backup quarterback.
well, you're the starting quarterback. You probably run in the same circles.
I guess. It's just gotta be odd, man. Like,
Joe Cox is currently the tight ends coach at Ole Miss, by the way.
well, why don't you interview him?
I'll try. I'll DM him.
I want to know.
What does
who
Stephen A.
who
Smith
was.
say?
Well, he's just like, I don't
Like,
see what possible advantage you would have doing that. Why would men have egos? This is not good for a man to have that.
I don't know. Well, I don't really get it either. I don't understand why she would like. Why do you need to tell that? It's happened 15 years ago.
I know
I think
Stephen
the
A. Smith
funniest
is into
thing-
having his balls crushed.
Detroit hasn't won a playoff game in 30 some odd years. They finally win. And then she's like, the fans booed my kids. Like, you're going to get any sort of fucking sympathy, you psycho.
Remember?
Like, why are you trying to
did she have
steal your
cancer
moment?
too at some point?
I think she had cancer,
I
yeah.
think she got it just for the attention.
Maybe.
I think
She's
so.
nuts, dude. She's nuts, but she must be good in bed. I'll tell you that because he sticks with her.
Oh, he's a Christian boy. The bar's very low for that. It's just like, oh, she did that. Ooh, cool.
Who did
Fun.
she do the
She
podcast?
gets the finger involved.
Yeah, I mean, they were dating since they've been in college. So, I mean, this
Yeah.
guy, couldn't have been plowing a lot between,
And to make him jealous is
Right.
insane. What a weird
What
move.
if it came out? She showed him a sex tape with her and Joe Cox, and
Maybe
see,
he's into it. I'm
this
saying
could be
maybe,
you. This could be
maybe
you.
he's fucking into it, dude.
He likes being cucked.
I mean, if you want to make somebody jealous, it's a good way to do it. Bill Belichick.
I mean, like in fairness to the one last point, like if Caitlin Clark's boyfriend did a podcast and wouldn't shut the fuck up, I would be like, shut the fuck up. So like I'm trying not to be sexist here.
You want to call him, see if he wants to join us?
No, I'm just saying that like it's absurd to have these podcasts where you're speaking for your significant other who's a pro athlete and you're not, and I don't know, it's just an odd one.
No, it's very bizarre. It makes zero sense. It's like, can't you just be blessed and enjoy
And who
all
needs
the
to hear about
success
this
you
shit?
guys have? And
Everyone that listens to the podcast, Who's listening to Kelly Stafford's podcast?
What is she going to talk about?
Like just embarrassing her husband. That's why she does
I know. And then like, oh, he's not getting along with his receivers. She said that last year. Like, why would you make that? Why would you
probably
say that?
like 1 year she's like, let's go to Paris, otherwise I'm starting a podcast. And he didn't take her to Paris, and now he has to suffer for it. That's what
She's
happens.
addicted to the attention.
Okay, since her debut, so this is an article that came out in February of this year. Since her debut, she's had her podcast has had over 4 million downloads.
Amazing.
They've done 114 episodes since 2021.
So she's behind us by a little bit, but she's catching up.
Gotta be just a little. She's catching up to us.
Yeah. I don't need that kind of competition. What do you think?
I'll have to really listen to. I'm kind of now curious.
May listen to it and we'll clip it. I will clip if you.
I'm kind of curious.
If it's worth it, I will fucking clip it and play it on here because
I'm like, what could you possibly talk about? You
guys know the name of her podcast?
What?
The Morning After.
Ooh.
With Kelly Stafford and Hank.
Who's Hank?
Who's Hank?
Her best friend.
It's a girl.
Kelly Stafford and best friend Hank Winchester.
I know
best
Hank
friend
Goldberg,
isn't her husband.
Handicap horse races in Florida.
Who is Hank Winchester?
I don't know.
He's Local 4's consumer investigative reporter.
He's a guy?
He's from Detroit. Yeah, he's like a Detroit news personality.
Do you think they got something going on?
Probably not.
That would be amazing if they did.
Come on, Hank. Fuck her right.
They start the season.
No, he's gay, Maddie.
They play week 1 against each other, by the way.
Is he gay? He's open.
He is gay.
Rams and Lions, week 1.
I mean, I think he's
a battle for Hank.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe I'm going too hard on this guy. Maybe I'm judging too fast.
Yeah, you might get sued.
Judging that book by his cover. No, wait.
You just think he's gay because he's got a great smile?
Yes.
Okay.
They're gonna take your Nebraska duplex, the Staffords, and the Winchester.
What duplex?
I don't know.
Hank Winchester. Okay. So speaking of people who need attention, or at least sugar daddies, Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's current flame, who is 24 years old. Bill is 72. Guess how old her previous boyfriend was without looking at the rundown?
37.
I haven't looked. I'm gonna guess 45.
64.
40.
Oh, she knows. Okay, she knows what she wants.
Yeah, she got a type. You know what I was thinking about it? I'm 48 right now. Belichick is.
He is gay, by the way. Luke confirmed.
So that's 48 years. So if I did what Bill Belichick is, I will date a girl when I'm 72 is being born this year. That is insane to think about. That is just crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Younger than your nephew, Jack.
Yes. Jack is like going to be a grandpa compared to this girl. Oh, what a stat. They've been dating for a year. No wonder why the Patriots suck.
It's been a year?
Yeah, they've been.
I didn't realize it's been
she
that
was
long.
The one
Holy
he was dating
shit.
when he was caught all disheveled on that door cam.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
maybe that's the reason why they wanted to get rid of him, because they're just like, he's not focusing.
You think Bill Belichick eats pussy?
What man doesn't?
I know people who don't, Maddie.
You don't eat pussy, they don't stick with you.
I mean, she would probably stick with him.
Stick to your lips.
You don't think she's in this for the moolah? You don't think she knows what she's doing?
No, she's in it for the love.
So
it seems like she was trying to find somebody with a big bank account.
Yeah, it's the sugar daddy issue.
This guy's name is Joshua Zuckerman, a businessman.
Yeah, that's a sugar daddy name. That's a sugar daddy name for sure.
He sounds like he owns the Patriots.
Right.
Bob Kraft
said they clicked off of their Their shared interests in psychology, philosophy, and nature.
I'm sure she is. She's got a
She's
great
wise
mind.
beyond her years.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Philosophy and entrepreneur.
I'm sure the veg is beyond the years.
You think it's like velvet?
I don't know, but I mean, come on.
Well,
That's the
you got to
appeal.
figure, though, it's only taken so much abuse, though. You know, there's
Well,
only so many blue chews these guys
look,
can
she's got a
take.
type. She knows what she wants.
I really want to see her bank account, though. I want to know if there's direct money being funneled into this thing.
You know, it's got to be sad because, like, there's always these stories of where, like, the Belichick kids will be like, next thing we know, the will's been changed. And, like, you know, I hope they got a
Yeah.
little money now because the will always gets changed in these situations. And then they're like, yeah, like, he left us, like, you know, the Mini Cooper, and she somehow got everything. All the Super Bowl rings,
Yeah.
you name it.
No, that's it. Jordan Hudson taking over the Belichick farm.
Plus, you don't know what you say to a girl like that. You break up with her, she'll go public, you know, like I know that Bill Belichick, you know, she dated Bill Belichick and she's gonna tell all. Tom Brady was a bedwetter.
You
You know,
think Belichick shares all these like sordid details with her?
with men do very dumb things with beautiful women. They feel like they put him on their shows. I mean, he could have been like, you're a great football mind. You want to be my defensive coordinator? Maybe that's
Yeah.
why he didn't get hired. He was pushing her to coach. You never
Right.
know.
Wanted to replace his son on the staff.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We got another relationship that didn't end well. This UFC match, or this cage fighting match, this Czech fighter named Lucas Bukovas, he lost about, right, in front of 20,000 fans over the weekend at something called the Clash of the Stars tournament in the Czech Republic. He lost, and then he gets his girlfriend in the ring and proposes to her. And then, so this is in
And
front
she
of.
said no.
Well, first she says, "You cheated on me," and then she says,
Whoa.
"No." Then she says, "No," and then the guy starts going, "No, I didn't cheat on you." And she's like, "Yes, you did, and I'm not going to marry you." And she was very embarrassed, and she said, "I don't think so."
Then
So
what were those panties doing?
exact
Those
words
were
were,
your panties.
"Based on everything that's happened, I think probably not," she said into the microphone. Imagine you see this poor guy lose a fight. Then you're like, oh, okay, he's proposing. Maybe there'll be some good in here. And it's like, no, you are a cheating douchebag.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a rough double. That could be your worst night of your life.
2 losses in 2 minutes. That's what everybody's saying about that.
In the book, there's a guy, this book I read by Chuck Klosterman. He talks about how everybody's got a personal 9/11 day.
Yeah.
And that would be his personal 9/11 day. That's like a 9/11 day.
That would be one that you remember forever.
Pretty bad. Like, how do you go back into that bar you hang out in afterwards? Like, ooh.
You probably just avoid a lot of people.
Why do you want to marry somebody when you're
underground?
a cheater?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Well,
like, I cheat, but I'm going to marry this girl.
Maybe it's a save the relationship, kind of Hail Mary. Maybe it's
Baby, I've changed.
Yeah, maybe
I think
he's
most cheaters just cheat forever.
Probably like on that, like if you got away with it, you probably would keep going, you know, especially if it's the same woman. I don't know. Maybe he had remorse.
If he hadn't gotten caught and didn't know he was caught, maybe he just didn't maybe he's just like, well, just keep fucking going with this.
Yeah.
Like he's emotionally attached to this girl, but he's just like, I'm gonna fuck other people.
Hell of a television moment, though.
Yeah.
It was.
I wish I spoke Czech, or I would definitely play this thing for everybody. It's very great. Boy, this one is a good one. I don't know if you've heard these rumors before, but there's Chael Sonnen, who you might know from UFC. He's reporting that Vince McMahon slept with several male superstars, including Shawn Michaels. And
How would Chael Sonnen have the know-how of this?
I don't know exactly. I don't think he was ever in the WWE, but he might have friends that are in the WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Well, there's also let's see if I can find the clip here. Shit. Okay, let me play you a clip because this is Kevin Nash talking about and the clip with Scott Hall, where Scott Hall says that something like this.
Yeah, but Scott Hall's an idiot. Scott
No,
Hall
no, just listen to the
I'm
words.
just gonna say he said the Montreal screw job was a work. Dumbest thing I ever heard. So
era that we're not allowed to fight on the floor. You don't hit guys with chairs, nothing. It's all, and they're real big on family entertainment. And so Vince calls me and you know, they're doing the Goldust angle and he goes, we're gonna do this Goldust angle, you know, we're gonna do this thing with you. And he goes, you know, he's gonna be in love with you. And I remember thinking like, what? Like I just went through a long angle with Shawn, and I worked with Kev, who's like a big killer, and then like I'm thinking, and he goes, let me tell you about my first homosexual experience. And I remember me and Kev are both sitting in Vince's office at TV, and I looked at Kev, my first thought was, as opposed to your most recent, like you and Warrior on the bearskin rug. But sorry, Vince. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't think there were many more details following that. But do you think Vince McMahon screwed Shawn Michaels?
no. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
Shawn Michaels screwed Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
He's the heartbreak kid. He might have broke Vince's heart.
I mean, I know Shawn Michaels having a lot of sex with Sonny, but I never heard of this. This has never come up. It's a very odd one. It reminds me of Charlie Sheen having sex with Corey Haim during the filming of Lucas. Is one of the. I mean, it's that bizarre. I mean, never say never. I don't know, but
well, Shawn,
like, it's just
here's some things that like Shawn Michaels is now like one of those like born again Christians, and he's in like Kirk Cameron movies or Kirk Cameron type movies.
Yep.
So I could see that happening after you like bone down with someone you didn't want to bone down. That's name was Vince McMahon. Freak out. You run to Jesus.
I mean, it could have been first push. But Shawn was a talented guy. He was a talented guy that was going to get a push. He was a good wrestler. He got good on the mic. He got very good as a bad guy. So I don't know if it's like that. I don't know. It's bizarre. I mean, it's he said, she said.
Yeah.
Actually, it's he said.
Yeah. But I think it's a weird situation because like Shawn definitely doesn't like talking about the past. Like I think as a born again Christian and a father now, he wants to put all the insanity of Degeneration X and like having sex with Sonny in the back behind him. And I don't know. First time I ever heard this.
No, I don't know. It's and Kevin Nash was there too, and he corroborates the thing. So I don't know. It's just another. I mean, it's just funny because Vince McMahon. Every time you think you've probably heard it all, there's always something more. There's always that iceberg goes deep.
I mean, there was always talks of Pat Patterson as like kind of a guy that would do favors with him. You get worked up the card, but I've never heard of the Vince. And you would think like the way the world works, he has enough enemies that somebody would say something.
Well, he was also still, I mean, apart from that few-year run of WCW, he was still the really only game in town, you know? Yeah. So, still, I mean, there were people like freaking Bret Hart that still would, like, reconciled with Vince, even after his brother was killed in the WWE. But
Yeah.
I don't know. And
I think that was bad. That was a horrible night, by the way. I'm still shocked about that night.
No, it was terrible. One last bit of wrestling news before we get into a whole wrestling show we're covering.
Well, I got one more thing that I just thought was
Yeah.
like a funny deal.
Yes.
Did you want? So I don't know how much you guys pay attention or watch the College World Series. It was a fun time. Good time
Did
had
you
by
go?
all. No, I did not. But I find it hilarious because it just makes me think of college football and a bunch of coaches that do this. The day that it happened, the Texas A&M coach is being asked about leaving or what he's going to say at the job. He calls the reporter's question disrespectful and dishonest and tells her to do real reporting. Literally today, he has left for the Texas job.
Yeah. Oh, I did see that. That's
I hate guys like that. It's amazing. It's amazing. The Dabbleverse goes through that too, because there's a guy that everybody
almost.
I love it every time. There's nothing. Maddie, we gotta do
is hitting its peak though.
No, there's a guy.
I see it everywhere now. I see it ever since Maddie brought up. I see it fucking everywhere now.
There's this guy that they're following. This guy in Minnesota who's him and his wife are swinging and doing like drugs, and everybody was saying it like, you guys are swinging and doing drugs, and he's like, you guys are fucked up. I'm not gonna. Anybody who talks about that is getting blocked. You fucking trolls, this, that. And then it came out, everything is true. And it's like, don't treat us like we're idiots. So screw that, coach. You owe that lady an apology, you dumb fuck. And make Texas lose every game next year.
Yeah.
He has one of the more harder pronounced names that I've seen.
Try it.
Okay, let me take a look at that.
I love how that's like not journalism. To be like, hey, are you gonna stay?
His name is Jim Schlossnagel.
Whoa, JJ Redick over here.
It's not Tom Herman, though.
No, Tom Herman's at FAU, Maddie.
All right. So
Wild story.
Remember our boy Too Cold Scorpio?
Flash Funk.
Flash Funk, also Flash Funk, yeah, aka Charles Skaggs. So this is like one of those guys where when Dark Side of the Ring goes to their house, there's like, the screen doors ripped up and that kind of thing. This dude works at he's a security guard at a gas station.
Boy,
like imagine that, like you're involved in all these high profile matches and on TV and all this shit, and now you got to like fucking be a security guard at a gas station.
If a gas station needs a security guard, that's a rough spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like somewhere in Kansas City, at a Love's. It's a Love's. So there's truckers involved. So he essentially got in a knife fight and stabbed a guy multiple times because he said it was in self-defense. So I think he seems like an honest guy. I believe him.
I believe him.
Said he had to stab him a few more times because the guy struggled too. So
it all started because the guy was smoking inside the gas station.
Right. Who the fuck does that? You're just begging to be stabbed.
You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Which is, no, it was just dumb as shit. So, well, hopefully he gets off in self-defense. Because if you smoke at a gas station, you should be stabbed multiple times.
Flash Funk.
All right. Here we go. Who killed the WCW episode 2? Maddie, what'd you think? Maddie, what did you think? You liked
I
it?
didn't hear the last part. Yeah, I did. Why are you laughing, Jim?
Because he said, Maddie, what do you think? And you just stared.
I only heard Maddie.
That was
I didn't hear the other part. I'm sorry, the fan is really loud.
That
here.
was hilarious. That was like
My
perfect.
apologies.
Timing.
Can you hear the fan?
No.
I can't hear the fan. No.
Oh,
I
that was
liked it a
great.
lot. I felt bad for Bischoff. I think it's kind of fascinating because like when you look at like why certain things fell apart, franchises, dynasties, anything that succeeds, bands,
Yeah.
comedians, successful people, there's so many reasons, and it was just like a snowball of shit. But I think I have one, but I'll wait because I don't want to give away any spoilers. But
Sure.
it was very well informed, very well done.
Yeah, indeed. So this was it starts out with Ted Turner. He's loving Nitro and he wants to move to a second show. So this would be like on a Wednesday or Thursday. And it's
Yeah,
called TBS launches Thunder. And so of course when you launch a second show, this is just gonna dilute your talent a
yeah.
lot. So while you had all these big stars on one night, now you have to spread them out, and then you have to bring in more people.
And you just have to hope that one of them ends up being stars.
Yeah, so this was like one of the reasons they brought in Bret Hart was to be on this show. They brought in a lot of people, and a lot of people
Can
that
I
would. Yeah, go ahead, Betty.
can I say that Bret Hart comes off as such a whining little bitch in these shows?
He really does. I know he's very well respected by a
He's
lot.
losing respect.
Well, he's been like that forever, though, Matt. He's been like that ever since the screw job. Essentially, it's just like I'm glad he participated in this, but yeah, it's sad to see him just be playing a
And I will
victim.
say this. He was when he left the WWF, I'm like, it's over. WCW is going to destroy him. As soon as he left the WWF, it's when it changed that WWF started picking up momentum. And
Yep.
I think what happened was they don't go into this, but this is something that I find fascinating. The WWF gained one of their most important characters when Bret Hart left, which is Vince McMahon. Now remember, he's an announcer, he's a good guy announcer. When the whole Bret Hart thing goes down, everybody started hating him. And they're like, you're so hated, be a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's one of the greatest bad guys of all time. And him and Austin made beautiful art together. So like they kind of traded Bret Hart's goody tissue, who doesn't work anymore. The whole, he would go to the ring, give his sunglasses to a young kid, very Hulk Hogan, 80s-esque guy, to like Vince being this like corporate evil owner that everybody fucking hates, that he played it amazing.
Yeah, there's no denying that. So yeah, so Bret Hart was almost addition by subtraction for the WWE.
Yes.
And then when he got to the NWO, they didn't know what the hell to do with him because
They
they
didn't
were
know because
yeah.
what's funny is like Kevin Nash can't hold a candle to the wrestling ability of Bret Hart. But if you're it's all about character, and Bret Hart he didn't really have a place because he was like this throwback good guy, and even when he pretended to be a bad guy, nobody bought it.
I will say this though, he was kind of funny in this episode though. Some of the shit he said were because what happened was then the NWO kept adding people nonstop. So you're like, who the fuck isn't in the NWO? And then Bret Hart was talking about how, and then they weren't creative anymore. So every match ended with a run-in. And he's like, why the fuck am I running in? And they like could never explain anything. It was just, everything was just a big run-in melee at the end of every bout. And this was the time of Goldberg, Matty Goldberg. Who's next?
Very polarizing figure in the world of wrestling.
I love that so many people hate him.
I don't think it's polarizing at all. I think just everybody hated him. Like,
I think he's like the ultimate warrior for that generation.
He was. He took basically the invincibility of the Ultimate Warrior and then sort of made him much more like stoic, and it was like the opposite on the mic. I don't even remember Bill Goldberg ever talking on the mic.
No,
He's quite like he said he was basically basing it off of early Mike Tyson with the black trunks, and Mike
Yeah.
Tyson really didn't talk much early on, and just
No.
and then would just clobber people. By the way, I did see a great, Maddie, I sent you that one wrestling video. There's a channel called Wrestle Me, and it's really funny. They break down this whole Goldberg and Steven Regal match. And it was really funny because Steven Regal was way at the bottom of his career, and he's supposed to be just a squash for Goldberg. And then he's like actually trying to wrestle him, and Goldberg doesn't know what he's doing. So he's just like putty in the guy's hands. And the match takes way longer than it should.
When you have a guy that has very limited ability that gets over so big, and that's what Goldberg did. He got over big, but he didn't have a lot of ability, and it's hard. It's a hard thing in the company because guys have worked their asses off for years to get the opportunity that he got in a
They've
year.
lost to people that they felt were beneath them, doing all this shit on the road forever. And Goldberg just comes in, and Hogan was in on it too. He was happy to put him over. He said, let's put Bill
Hogan
over in Atlanta where he's from.
I mean, Hogan's a shitty wrestler, so he didn't care.
Yeah.
It's the guys like Bret Hart that, I put 40 years, just whatever.
Yeah.
It also goes by character. It's a popularity contest at the end of the day. It really is sad but true.
No. So Hogan puts him over. He wins the belt in Atlanta over Hogan. And this was one of the things that came up a few times in this show, is that thing was not on pay-per-view either, which is amazing. Like, they have Hogan versus Goldberg. It's not on pay-per-view. And they've done multiple shows like this where they're just putting the best matches or the most high-profile matches on regular weekly television. So around this time, this is when the Attitude Era begins in the WWE, as Maddie alluded to, with the rise of McMahon and rivalries with Mankind and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And essentially the WWE just took what Nitro was doing with all these anti-heroes and just went far more vulgar, far more sexual, profane, everything. And WWE or WCW was sort of restrained by these sort of family kind of restrictions that Ted Turner had on them.
What I will say about that, and this is kind of the beginning of the end of WCW, I think a lot of the execs were like looking at the two shows, and they were looking at it was getting more into smut, more into TNA, more into sensational shit. And I think a lot of the WCW or a lot of the Turner Broadcasting board people that weren't wrestling people were like, okay, it's great that we got all these ratings, but do we really want to get this deep into this? Because it's only going to get more smutty, more lewd. Like, we don't really do that. Like, do we really want to go further into this? And I think a lot of them tapped out at that moment, where they could have kept pushing with the checkbook, with hiring more people to write, hiring like somebody to run the Thursday show, so it's just not on Bischoff. I think a lot of the board people were like, let's get out of wrestling. Like, we bought in low and now it's big, and let's get out now. But I think they waited too long.
Yeah, it alludes to that. And I think I've watched the third episode, the fourth episode, they allude to like where Bischoff's like, we need to sell now. Like, this company still has value. Let's get out.
Sure.
And they obviously didn't, because we all know what happened at the end. But back to Goldberg. So when Bischoff was sort of working way too many hours trying to produce two shows, Kevin Nash offers to become the booker, and he wanted to take the belt away from Goldberg.
Yeah.
And so he did. And then they had Scott Hall zap him. Goldberg.
I saw that.
With a cattle prodder. So it's not a clean win. I always hated this when the bad guys, because Kevin Nash was like a good bad guy. Like, he was an anti-hero. Everybody loved him because when Kevin Nash did take the belt, the crowd popped. Nash says it, you can hear it. It's very obvious that people loved Kevin Nash. So it was stupid to have Scott Hall make him win unclean or dirty, I guess. And then then the real shit started happening with the Hulk Hogan. Then somehow Goldberg was supposed to get a match the next day or show, and then Hogan came in and ended up winning the belt back from Nash, just from Nash laying down.
That was dumb. When they started doing the whole like doing the job and laying down, they killed their own company, and Hogan had way too much power. Now you give him the power when the company starts, when you first got him, because he has all the leverage.
Yeah.
But now that you have some real guys and you have a real company, like, I know you can't change the contract, but I mean, he ruined that shit for himself.
Yeah, I don't know if almost buying him out would have been the best idea too. There had to be a way out of the contract at some point, or at least not use Hogan and just pay him the remainder.
I mean, what's fascinating about this is there's so many factions of why it fell apart. And I always thought like Vince was just so relentless that he would not be defeated. But now that I look at it, I'm like, WCW defeated themselves.
That's usually the case with a lot of these things, is they just kind of like, they somehow self-sabotage, or especially starting out, you have such low room for mistakes.
Yeah.
That if you make just one mistake, it's bad. And if you make a big one and snowball it, like, awful.
The other thing too is like, it's hard enough to get on top, but then it's hard to stay on top.
Yes.
And they couldn't, it was just too hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that in anything in life. So you got to really respect the people that maintain winning programs wherever they are, whatever industry they're in, because maintaining momentum is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Also in that episode, so this was also the dumbest thing. So since WWE was taped at the time, a lot of people online knew what the results were going to be on Raw that night. So WCW said, "Oh, so we're hearing over at WWE, Mankind will win the belt from The Rock tonight," which was the dumbest shit you could do, because that was like, that's one of the most, that was one of the best feuds of all time, is Mankind and The Rock. Yes.
Who was the only guy to show up on both shows on the same night because it was taped?
I know this. I knew this at one point. I don't know.
Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh yes, that's in that video I sent you, Maddie.
Yeah, you gotta see it. Yeah.
Watch it, because it's just Rick Rude beating the shit out of some jobber. He's just beating the fucking shit out of him. So they blow that, but a lot of people then just tune into WWE and were like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. So just two big blows in one night. So yeah, they give the belt back to Hogan. Goldberg, so when Bret Hart was facing Goldberg, Bret Hart's like, don't hurt me, man. Just don't fucking hurt me. And Goldberg claims he's like, during one of their lockups, he says, watch out for the kick. And then he throws him against the ropes and like fucking ninja kicks him in the face. And it like gives him a concussion and ends his career essentially. And he still hates Goldberg to this day for it.
Oh, he will not shut up about it.
Oh, God. Well, it's just like, I mean, it's just so, I mean, I get it. You do something forever, and you are aware of your legacy, and you want to have a good legacy, and you don't want to go out to Bill Goldberg, let alone through some injury from him. But that's what happened. And Goldberg's funny in this. He's like halfway apologizing, then halfway going, what the fuck am I supposed to do? These people can kiss my ass.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like, I apologize 50 times. How many more times can I say I'm sorry? But Brett just keeps going on these shows, bitching about it, it's just like, enough is enough. Like, okay, he didn't know what he was doing. He hurt you.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Like
mean,
you're telling me you wrestled a guy that wasn't experienced in your time? You dealt with Shawn Michaels, the guy who accused you of having an affair on television in front of your wife.
sunny days.
Yeah.
Uh, so Bret Hart, I'm sure we'll be seeing him more in future episodes.
Oh, he is so annoying.
He's such a fucking blowhard.
He really is. And it's like everybody sucked, everybody's this. So what should have they done, Brett? Just make you the greatest champion. You know, like obviously, like, yeah, you didn't fit in. You didn't fit in because the business changed. That's what they realized. They realized that your mold of like the good guy that goes to the ring and gives the kid the sunglasses doesn't work anymore.
And the episode ends with Bischoff getting fired.
I felt like
I felt bad.
I felt in a way they were trying to get rid of him and they were trying to almost be like, how would I put it? Like, let's phase him out because we're starting to, you know, like close up ship and we think he has talent. So if we get rid of him, this thing will end faster as like some sort of tax write-off. I could be wrong because the next episode kind of contradicts that. But I almost feel like they were like, all right, like we got this as hard as it could get. We got past WWF for a couple years, but let's get out of this because it's going to get ugly.
I will say this about the next episode.
Yeah.
It's really funny because all the wrestlers are getting so fucking old in it. Like,
Yeah.
you see all these guys that are used to, like, normally shirtless are now wrestling in t-shirts and singlets and things like that. And they got like bellies. Like, they're still in great shape for their age, but they're not these Adonises like they were. It's so funny because they have all the, it's just beginning to look like a senior league. Yeah. So,
I mean, this happened 25 years ago.
yeah.
So these guys are probably 30 to 35 in their prime. In Hogan's case, he was probably over 40 in like 99, 98, 2000. So yeah, time flies, man. And it is wild to see them all, like, sorry about that. To look back at everything is pretty cool.
Well, Kevin Nash was like, he was like 40 in 2000. So, you know, when you get to like 35 as a male, those hormones start grinding to a halt, the testosterone. So, but it was just funny. That's one thing that stuck out when I was watching the third episode, but it's a good one too. So can't wait to cover that next week. Anything
The
else
third
to
one
add?
is going to be a lot of Vince Russo.
Oh yeah, this is good because Vince Russo is he's a real weird figure in wrestling.
Would you say he goes to stuttering John level with some of his comments?
I don't really equate the two because Vince Russo at least did have success and I mean he reshaped wrestling or helped reshape wrestling. I mean, he basically took Nitro to the next level.
Well, you know what? I think this takes all the tarnish away from him. Like, this takes his success from the WWF away from him because he sounds like such a egomaniac idiot in this episode. And his on doing this is like he's looking back 25 years and he's still as clueless and delusional about what his role is in all of this. Like, he's a fucking idiot. This whole idea that he's like the ratings master. He's like, no, you're not.
No, he basically took Eric Bischoff's ideas and put them on steroids, and he had the talent that caught fire at the time. And when he went to replicate it in WCW, it was fucking worse. I mean, it was bad. It was so bad. It was insane.
But he thought he was going to come in there guns a-blazing and just like turn everything around and take all the credit for it. And I'll just say one thing. When he says like, I'm better than 80% of the roster, it's like, no, you're not. You're better than 0% of the roster. You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because he starts putting himself on TV and everything. But we'll
stupid.
We'll delve more into that next week, guys. Anything else to add for WCW or sports in general or life in general?
Just watching a lot of soccer, enjoying watching America win. Yes, last Sunday, and watching Messi play now is fun. And we're getting into the Euro Cup. The elimination round is coming up, so I do watch football as well.
I have just been watching football. The CFL has been nothing short of extremely exciting. Every game has come down to the fourth quarter. It's been awesome.
Okay.
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another exciting edition of the Sports Hole. Bye-bye.